let's jump right in. I want you to think about your biggest aspiration right now. You got it? Okay, now, think about the number one reason you haven't fully chased it yet. For most of us, honestly, it's not a lack of resources or talent, and it's definitely not a lack of desire. It really boils down to this invisible wall, basically a single line that just stops dreams dead in their tracks.
Log kya kahenge? What will people say? It's such a short phrase, but wow, it carries this immense, suffocating weight. This single line is literally the architect of unfulfilled potential. I mean, all over the world, this fear of societal judgment has paralyzed countless dreams before they even had a chance to take a breath. We kind of build up this imaginary tribunal in our heads, right? A jury made up of neighbors, distant relatives, random acquaintances, even strangers. And for some reason, we give them veto power over our life choices. It's a psychological trap that convinces us their opinions are somehow more valuable than our own happiness. But how does this actually play out in our day-to-day lives? It's usually not these massive life-altering decisions. Often it's way more subtle.
Section 1. Sapne rokne wali ek line. The symptoms of fear. Let's look at how this actually shows up.
When this fear takes root, it actually physically manifests in our daily routines. It starts dictating our behavior, shrinking our comfort zones until we're just a shadow of who we really want to be. It holds us back from basic, joyful human expression. Think about it. Some people won't dance at parties, even when their absolute favorite song comes on, just because they're terrified someone might think they look silly. Some people take a beautiful photo that they genuinely love, but then they delete it. They overthink how it's going to be judged. And tragically, some are afraid to even step out of their houses, literally or metaphorically, to try a new path. They hide their true, authentic selves. We end up censoring our joy just to avoid imaginary criticism. We let the music play, but we stay in our seats.
But I want you to ask yourself this. Lekin, sach kya hai pata hai? But do you know what the truth is? We script out our entire lives to avoid society's disapproval. But what's the actual reality here? What happens when we pull back the curtain on this imaginary jury we've built up?
Which brings us to Section 2, Logan ki asliat, the reality of society's attention span.
So we suffer from something psychologists actually call the spotlight effect. We genuinely believe that everyone is paying super close attention to every little thing we do, every mistake we make, every unconventional path we take. We literally think we're the main character in everyone else's movie. But here's the incredibly liberating truth. The absolute worst-case scenario of putting yourself out there is just temporary gossip. People might talk for a few days, and that is it. Maybe there's a bit of chatter, a raised eyebrow, maybe a passing comment. But then they get busy with their own lives. Society's attention span is incredibly, almost comically short. Everyone else is way too wrapped up in their own struggles, their own insecurities to obsess over your life. So why sacrifice your permanent dreams for a few moments of fleeting chatter? It's just a terrible trade-off.
Move into Section 3. Dusron ke fear mein jeena, the ultimate trap.
We really need to talk about the long-term cost of that temporary gossip. Because if you always live in the fear of others, one day you will have to live your own life according to them. Every single time you bow to external pressure, every time you choose compliance over authenticity, you're handing over the steering wheel of your life to total strangers. And eventually, you wake up one day and realize, wait, I'm not the author of my own story anymore. You become a passenger. You lose your autonomy. And realizing that you've lived your life on someone else's terms, man, that is a far more painful regret than any temporary judgment you could ever face.
Section 4. Galti karna normal hai. Validating the human experience.
Okay, to break free from this, we have to start by validating our own human experience. If you're a young dreamer watching this explainer, just take a deep breath. The path to achieving anything worthwhile is inherently messy. It is never a flawless straight line. Galti karna normal hai. Making mistakes is normal. It is completely 100% expected. You are going to stumble. You're going to launch a project that totally flops. You're going to say the wrong thing. But that doesn't mean the critics were right. It just means you're human and you're trying. Mistakes are literally just the data points you need to eventually succeed.
Also, slow hona normal hai. Being slow is normal too. We live in this world that is completely obsessed with overnight success and viral moments. But real, sustainable growth, that takes time. If your progress isn't lightning fast, if you're taking baby steps while everyone else seems to be sprinting, that is absolutely fine. Your pace is your own.
And most importantly, tarna bhi normal hai. Being scared is also normal. You know, courage isn't this magical absence of fear. Actually, it's looking right at that fear acknowledging that you are terrified of what people might say and deciding to step forward anyway. It's completely fine to be afraid. Your struggles are totally valid, but they cannot be the end of your story.
Which leads us to Section 5, Success Par Logonkar Reaction, the great irony. So, here is where the true tragedy of giving up meets the absolute comedy of human nature. The biggest loss, hands down, is stopping completely, wasting your potential, burying your dreams, settling for a life of what-ifs just because you were afraid of the crowd. But you want to know the wild irony? If you push through the fear, if you ignore the gossip, and you actually achieve your goal, society's tune changes instantly. The exact same people who whispered behind your back, the people who completely doubted you, are suddenly the first ones in line to celebrate you.
Seriously? The critics who whispered behind your back will suddenly be like, "Mujhe pehle se pata tha ye kuch bada karegi." I knew from the start she would do something big. They will literally rewrite history just to claim they believed in you all along. It's incredibly ironic, isn't it? The very same people whose judgment you're terrified of today will loudly claim they were your biggest supporters tomorrow. So, if their opinions are really that hollow, that changeable, and that reliant on your final outcome, why let them stop you from starting?
So, I want to leave you with one vital question to wrap up this explainer. Now that you see through the illusion, now that you know society's attention is super fleeting, that living in fear robs you of your autonomy, and that the critics will eventually claim to be your biggest fans, what dream will you stop hiding today? Step out of the shadows. Do the dance. Post the photo. Step out of the house. Take back your steering wheel, ignore the crowd, and build the life you actually want to live.